Have you ever noticed how something as small as a nut can make a big difference in how your body feels? Maybe you've grabbed a handful of mixed nuts thinking, well, these are healthy, right? But what if I told you that some of those tiny snacks could actually be making things worse, especially if you're over 65? It sounds surprising, doesn't it? We're told for years that nuts are good for our heart, our brain, and even our joints. And that's true, to a point. But here's the thing, not all nuts are created equal. As we get older, our bodies change. Digestion slows down, metabolism shifts, and our needs become a little more, well, specific. What worked for us in our 30s or 40s might not work the same way in our 60s and beyond. So, in this video we're going to talk about the 4 best nuts you should absolutely be eating to support your health after 65. Especially for things like energy, joint strength, and even memory. But we'll also talk about 4 nuts you might want to avoid. Yes, even the ones you thought were healthy, because they can mess with your digestion, blood sugar, or even your weight in ways you don't want. Let's start by talking about one nut that's like a little superhero for seniors. It's small, a bit crunchy, and it's probably sitting in your pantry right now. I'm talking about almonds. Now, almonds might seem ordinary, but they're packed with magnesium, a mineral that helps regulate muscle function and supports healthy blood pressure. If you've ever had leg cramps at night or felt a little twitch in your calves, that could be your body calling out for magnesium. Almonds are also high in vitamin E, which is great for your skin and circulation. Plus, they're one of the easiest nuts to digest when eaten raw or dry roasted. A small handful, maybe 10 to 15 almonds a day, can be enough to give your body a good nutrient boost without going overboard. But here's something that trips people up: the coating. If your almonds are salted, candied, or chocolate covered, it's a whole different story. At that point, you're not eating almonds, you're eating sugar and salt with a side of nut. And for those of us over 65, high sodium and sugar are the last things we need sneaking into our snacks. So go for plain, unsalted almonds whenever you can. Now, let's move to something a little richer, a little softer: walnuts. These are one of the best nuts for your brain. You know that saying, you are what you eat? Well, walnuts actually look like little brains. And it turns out, they feed your brain too. They're full of omega-3 fatty acids, the kind that help with memory, focus, and even mood. That's especially important as we age, when our brain cells need all the help they can get. Just a few walnuts a day can go a long way in keeping your mind sharp and your heart healthy too. And here's something else to love about walnuts: they're naturally anti-inflammatory. If you deal with arthritis or stiff joints, adding walnuts into your diet may help reduce some of that daily soreness. They're a soft nut, easy to chew, and they pair beautifully with things like oatmeal, salads, or even just eaten on their own. But not all nuts are doing us favors. And one nut in particular might surprise you: it's cashews. Yep, those smooth, buttery little guys can be tough on the body if you're not careful. They're delicious, no doubt. But cashews are higher in oxalates, which can contribute to kidney stones. They're also not the best if you're watching your blood sugar or weight. They have a fairly high carbohydrate content for a nut, which can sneak up on you, especially if you're snacking mindlessly while watching TV or reading the paper. Now, this doesn't mean cashews are bad for everyone. But if you have kidney issues or are sensitive to carbs, it might be best to limit them, or even skip them altogether. Now that we've talked about almonds, walnuts, and a little caution with cashews, let's look at another nut that deserves a gold star: pistachios. These are the kind of nut that feel like a treat. Cracking them open gives you that satisfying feeling, and they're full of fiber and plant-based protein. What makes pistachios so special for people over 65 is how they support digestion and heart health at the same time. They help regulate cholesterol, keep you fuller longer, and are much gentler on the stomach than some of the heavier nuts. Just make sure you get the unsalted version. Your blood pressure will thank you later. And if you've ever struggled with sleep, pistachios may help with that too. They contain a small amount of melatonin, which can naturally help your body wind down. That's a nice little bonus, especially if your sleep isn't quite what it used to be. On the flip side, there's another nut you might want to be careful with: macadamias. Now don't get me wrong, they taste amazing. But they're also extremely high in fat and calories. Just a handful can add up fast. And while they do contain some good fats, they don't offer as much protein or fiber as other nuts. So if you're trying to manage your weight or cholesterol, they might not be the best daily choice. Enjoy them occasionally, like a dessert or treat, but not something you keep snacking on throughout the day. By now, you might be rethinking that jar of mixed nuts in your kitchen. That's a good thing. Being mindful about what goes into our bodies is one of the best ways to feel better, move easier, and stay independent as we age. Food doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes, it's just about knowing what works for you at this stage in life. We've talked about almonds and walnuts, two of the real champions when it comes to keeping our brains sharp and muscles strong. And we've taken a closer look at cashews and macadamias, which may not be the best choices for everyone, especially if you're managing kidney health or watching your weight. Now let's move on to a nut that often flies under the radar but is a quiet powerhouse: Brazil nuts. These big, creamy nuts aren't just rich in texture, they're rich in something called selenium. And here's why that matters, especially after 65. Selenium is like a protective shield for your cells. It helps boost your immune system, supports thyroid health, and even plays a role in preventing mental fog. Just 1 or 2 Brazil nuts a day gives you all the selenium you need. Not a handful, just 1 or 2. That's because they're extremely potent, almost like a supplement in a shell. Eating too many can actually give you too much selenium, which is why a little goes a long way. And the best part: they taste smooth and buttery and can really add variety if you're tired of the same snack options. But while Brazil nuts are powerful allies, there's another nut that might look innocent but can be a sneaky troublemaker: peanuts. Now, I know this one might be hard to hear. Peanuts have been a snack staple for years. They're in our peanut butter, our trail mix, and probably in your pantry right now. But here's the truth: peanuts aren't technically nuts, they're legumes. And they can cause more problems than benefits for many older adults. First off, peanuts are one of the most common food allergens out there, even among people who've never had allergies before. Our immune systems change with age, and sometimes that means developing sensitivities later in life. Have you noticed bloating, itching, or digestive upset after eating peanuts or peanut butter? That could be your body trying to tell you something. Peanuts are also prone to mold contamination, specifically aflatoxins. Now, aflatoxins sound like a science fiction villain, but they're very real and not something you want in your body. They can contribute to inflammation and even affect liver function over time. And the more processed the peanut product, like those sweetened peanut butters or flavored snacks, the worse it gets. If you love peanut butter, don't worry. There are alternatives. Almond butter, sunflower seed butter, or even pistachio butter can be just as creamy and satisfying without the added risks. It's all about swapping, not sacrificing. Alright, let's brighten things up a bit and talk about pecans. These nuts are not only delicious in pies, but they're also incredibly heart-friendly when eaten raw or lightly roasted. Pecans are loaded with antioxidants, which help protect your cells from damage. They also have a rich, buttery flavor that makes them feel indulgent without being unhealthy, when eaten in moderation, of course. What makes pecans special is their high content of monounsaturated fats, the kind that support good cholesterol and help reduce inflammation. This is especially important if you're dealing with joint pain, stiff knees, or any type of chronic discomfort that seems to linger longer as the years go by. A few pecans as a mid-afternoon snack, tossed into a salad, or sprinkled over your morning oatmeal can make a difference, not just in flavor, but in how your body feels. And the best part: they're easier to chew than some of the tougher nuts, so they're gentle on dental work too. But there's one last nut we really need to talk about: hazelnuts. You know, the ones often found in fancy chocolates or sweet spreads. They sound elegant, and in small amounts, they can be just fine. But for seniors, they may not be the best daily choice. Hazelnuts tend to be higher in saturated fat compared to other nuts, and they're often paired with sugar, chocolate, or processed ingredients. If you're eating hazelnuts raw or roasted, in small amounts, there's not much to worry about. But if you're getting them from chocolate spreads, snack mixes, or candies, you're getting more sugar and fat than actual nutrition. And let's be honest, when's the last time you measured a small amount of Nutella? It's easy to overdo it, and the sugar crash afterwards isn't worth it. Now, before we wrap up this section, let's take a moment to really think about what we've covered. Nuts are powerful little packages of nutrition. The right ones can help you stay active, protect your heart, support your memory, and even help you sleep better at night. But the wrong ones, especially when eaten in excess or in the wrong form, can silently work against you. The good news is that it's never too late to make simple, smart changes. You don't need to overhaul your entire pantry or give up everything you enjoy. Just start noticing. Look at the labels. Choose raw or dry roasted instead of salted or candied. Go for small portions instead of handfuls. And always listen to how your body feels afterward. If something makes you feel bloated, sluggish, or just off, there's probably a better option out there. So whether you're sitting down with a small bowl of walnuts, swapping your peanut butter for almond butter, or just taking a moment to enjoy a crunchy, satisfying snack, know that these little choices add up. It's not about perfection. It's about intention. We've walked through some of the best and worst nuts for your health after 65, and by now, you're probably starting to see just how big of an impact these small foods can have. But before we bring everything together, there's one more nut that deserves a spotlight, and one that deserves a little caution. Let's start with pistachios. These little green gems are often overlooked, but they're absolutely packed with benefits. They're a fantastic source of protein, fiber, and healthy fats, and they also contain a wide range of vitamins and minerals, including B6, potassium, and even lutein, which supports your eye health. That's right, pistachios are one of the few nuts that help protect your vision, something many of us want to preserve as long as possible. And here's something fun. Pistachios may actually help you sleep better. They contain melatonin naturally, which can be a real game changer if you struggle with staying asleep or falling asleep in the first place. Just a small handful in the evening could help calm your system and signal to your body that it's time to wind down. They're also lower in calories compared to many other nuts, which makes them perfect if you're watching your weight or trying to keep your blood sugar balanced. Plus, if you buy them in the shell, it naturally slows down how fast you eat them, which helps you enjoy them more mindfully. It's amazing how something so small can bring both pleasure and peace of mind. But now let's shift our attention to one more nut that might not be doing you any favors. Pine nuts. Yes, those tiny buttery nuts you might see in pesto or sprinkled on fancy salads. While they might seem harmless, pine nuts are high in omega-6 fatty acids, and when we eat too many foods with too much omega-6, without enough omega-3 to balance it, it can lead to inflammation in the body. This kind of inflammation isn't the kind you feel immediately. It creeps in quietly, slowly contributing to joint pain, stiffness, fatigue, and even mood swings. And let's face it, after 65, we don't have time for foods that drag us down. We want to feel lighter, brighter, and more energized, not sluggish or achy for no clear reason. Pine nuts also tend to be expensive and not always fresh, which means they can go rancid quickly and develop a bitter taste that isn't doing your digestion any favors. If you're using them occasionally in cooking, it's probably not a big issue. But if you're snacking on them often or adding them to meals thinking they're boosting your health, it may be time to rethink that habit. Now, let's just pause for a second and take a deep breath. Because here's the beautiful truth. No matter where you're starting from today, you can make better choices starting right now. Your age doesn't limit your ability to feel good, to take control, or to nourish your body in a way that supports strength, clarity, and peace. Maybe you're used to grabbing whatever nut mix is on sale at the store. Or maybe peanut butter toast has been your breakfast for years. That's okay. Change doesn't have to mean restriction or guilt. It just means curiosity. Start asking yourself, how does this make me feel? And is there a better option that still tastes good? When you fill your pantry with almonds, walnuts, pistachios, Brazil nuts, and pecans, you're giving your body tools to fight inflammation, protect your heart, and keep your brain humming along. You're choosing energy over exhaustion, comfort over cramps, clarity over confusion. And that's something to celebrate. So next time you're walking down the snack aisle or preparing a meal, remember, you're not just feeding your hunger. You're feeding your future. A future where you feel strong enough to take a walk with the grandkids, clear-headed enough to enjoy your favorite books, and energetic enough to do the things that make life fun again. And here's a little tip I love sharing. Instead of thinking about what to cut out, focus on what to add in. Add in a few walnuts to your morning oatmeal. Add in a small handful of pistachios after your afternoon walk. Add in pecans to your salad for a bit of crunch. These aren't sacrifices, they're upgrades. And they're delicious. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite nut? Have you tried swapping peanut butter for almond butter, or adding Brazil nuts to your routine? Maybe you have a recipe or snack idea that others would love to try. Share it in the comments. We're all here to learn from each other and lift each other up. And if this video helped you rethink your snack habits or gave you something new to try, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It helps us reach more people just like you who want to feel their best every single day. And of course, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another tip on living healthier and happier after 60. Here's to stronger bodies, sharper minds, and a life that feels good from the inside out. You deserve that. No matter your age, every small step counts. And when you take care of yourself with simple choices like this, you're reminding the world, and yourself, that your health is still a priority. Until next time, keep shining, keep smiling, and keep moving forward. Here's to living your best life at any age.